This episode of the SuperHypeGaming podcast is brought to you by boomers. With the recent OK Boomer trend, a lot of boomers have come to me and said, Michael, we don't feel like we have a safe podcast to go to anymore. And since I'm desperate for money and listeners, I said, okay, boomers, you can come here. So thank you, boomers. And welcome, everybody. This is episode 10 of the SuperHypeGaming podcast. I am your host, Michael Flanagan, and I am joined again by Wicked Wildflower Luke, a.k.a. Blue Chromed. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, I'm doing great. Wicked Wildflower. That's brand new. I love that. Thank you for calling me out with the boomers. Yeah, I do come here for my boomer content. Thanks a lot, Michael. Thanks for having me
Just to
on.
be clear, we don't talk about the sponsors afterwards.
My bad.
Yeah. We don't talk about it in the actual podcast. It's just for the intro.
Fair enough.
So Luke, how have you been? How's your week been? Just rant at me right now. I want you to rant at me.
You. Okay. Last week was pretty good. Last week we had Gobi. That's his nickname. His name is Jordan. Jordan came down to visit. He's a fellow streamer that we know. Goes by BlazingAura_. Had a great time with him. The new Pokemon games came out. The same weekend he came down. So me, Jordan, Megan, and Danny, my roommates, binged that like the whole weekend. It was great. And then the following week, I was out of town on a work trip the whole week. So I haven't been streaming a whole lot. I definitely missed being home, missed having video games to play. But it was a pretty good week.
Did you play a lot of Pokemon on your work trip?
Yeah, that's basically all I did. If I wasn't working, I was playing Pokemon.
Yep. What? Tell me what Pokemon you caught on the plane.
I didn't fly. I actually drove up with Sword Guy, a.k.a. Brett.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Tell me what Pokemon you caught on the toilet in the hotel room.
The toilet in the hotel room. You know what? I didn't catch a single... I didn't play on the toilet. Can you believe that? I know.
Truly disappointing.
I know.
So I want to talk about, real briefly,
Okay.
a couple days ago, I watched one of the most horrifying videos I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, no.
And you know me. You know that I love horror stuff.
Yeah.
You know that I fucking love horror stuff. And, like, I'm so desensitized to it now that kind of stuff doesn't scare me or doesn't freak me out. What really scares me is the cosmos.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I was watching this video. It was a time lapse until the end of the universe, and the gimmick was every 5 seconds time would speed up exponentially.
Oh yeah, I know exactly the video you're talking about.
It's like a 30-minute long video, and it fucking horrified me. That kind of shit, like, I'm not even kidding. That kind of shit, like, upsets me.
That's
It
really
gets
funny.
me in a really weird mood, and I love it because, you know, like, horror movies don't do that to me anymore.
Yeah.
So I need to watch these, like, existential fucking crisis videos. But, like, you get to the end of the video, and it's like 1 trillion fucking years from now, and, like, all matter is gone in the universe. All the black holes have, like, dissolved. Every single, like, atom and molecule has dissolved. There's absolutely nothing left in the entire universe. Like, there's nothing left for any kind of reaction. The universe is fucking dead, and that's how it's gonna stay forever. It's like, fuck me. And, like, obviously I won't be around for that. Obviously, it's like we won't even be around for, like, when our sun dies in, like, 1 trillion years, and humanity might not even be around then. But it just freaks me out. The universe freaks me out. It's like, you know, the universe is ever expanding. It's like, what is it expanding into? Like, what is beyond the universe, you know? And the video kind of pitched this thing where it showed, like, the universe as a bubble, and then there are other, like, you know, the multiverse theory. There are other universes, you know, other bubbles next to our universe. It's like, dude, it freaks me out. It upsets my stomach.
Well, you know, if you think about it, think about the ever expansive nothingness, right?
I don't want to.
So say you've got your Big Bang, and you have this incredibly powerful explosion and creation of matter and the universe, but then there's all this nothingness. What if maybe that's just a tiny little bit, and there may be trillions or infinite universes, all taking up their own space of kind of the giant multiverse of emptiness. And we're nothing. We already are nothing, but even more nothing.
Yeah, it's the thought of like, and this might be why I love like H.P. Lovecraft stuff so much. It's the thought that things exist that are so grand and beyond our comprehension. Like they do exist at this moment, and like we don't understand them. We'll never understand them, but they are there. You know, it's like we're just these fucking shit ants on this little tiny planet.
It's true. It's terrifying and true. And I think I'm glad to hear that makes you uncomfortable, because I think if it didn't, that might be a bad thing.
Yeah. And it's funny because I watched that video, and then a couple days later, there was that story of scientists like observing the brightest light in the universe. Some kind of like gamma explosion or something, like really far away from here. And so, yeah, it was definitely an unnerving experience. But I love that shit. Like, I love it, but it really does fuck me up.
Honestly, hey, I feel you on the horror movie. Horror movies don't do it for me anymore either, for the same reason. It's like whatever can get you there, you know?
But on a more lighter note,
starting off heavy, real heavy.
I did some exciting things this week. I've done some pretty fun, exciting things. So this past Monday, I did stand up here in Atlanta at the Laughing Skull Lounge.
Woo!
And I was sick, unfortunately. I mean, I was sick last podcast, so you know, people know that, but I was still sick on Monday, so it went okay. You know, parts of it I nailed. Parts of it went really well, and then parts of it were okay. But overall, it was good. It was fun. I was really impressed with the overall quality of all the comics. Because, you know, at an open mic, it's not common for everybody to be, like, good or decent. You know, it's always like, you always get some stinkers, right?
Of course.
And you know if you're a stinker at an open mic because people will not laugh at your shit.
Right.
That's how I know like it went okay with me, because it's like people will not laugh. They will just sit there in silence.
They're brutal.
Yeah. So I was impressed overall. Everyone was really, really good. And I will get a recording of that at some point. They said 7 to 10 days, so hopefully sometimes before Thanksgiving I'll get a video of that. And
I think Thanksgiving is that's this week, right? Wow.
Yep.
This month went by really fast.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like Thanksgiving is at the end of the month, but it still feels like it got here really quickly.
I know it did. Oh, it's insane. But you know, I'm really proud of you for doing that. That's really cool. I think it takes a lot of courage to get up there and put yourself out there. Are you planning to share that with us when you get it?
Yeah, I'll share that. I'll probably share it. I mean, I'll definitely share it in Discord. We might do like a watching event. I think that would be fun.
That would be so great, man. That would be
and
great. You could even do it on stream, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, I could. I could do both. And I'll put it on Twitter and on YouTube and
good
and all that kind of stuff.
Good.
But,
can make you into a meme on stand-up shots on Reddit.
Yep. I'm definitely going to milk the good jokes in there. Like, you know, expect the next 3 months to be like a clip of one joke on my Twitter. Milk that shit.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Good. So that was fun. I mean, I've talked about my quests to be more creative and get back into doing stuff like that again, because I did stuff like that before, and I kind of left it behind. So it feels good to get back into that. Definitely going to continue doing that. I'm going to look for more places to do that. So, yeah, it's fun. Also yesterday on Saturday, I had the agent showcase for this acting kind of workshop thing that I've been doing for a bit, and that went well. So there were 4 people there. There were 3 agents, and then there's one person with this organization that brings people out to LA and stuff. and basically they had like 4 or 5 people stay after everyone was done talking to the agents and talking to this lady and stuff. And she's like, look, the people in this room, you know, basically scored a 9, which is the highest that I give people.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not going to wait. We're not going to make you wait for callbacks. I'm just telling you now that, and this is just the one lady.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to tell you now that we want you for this thing in LA. So that was cool. I'm not going to go with them, actually. I told them no, because it does cost money to do it with them. And I think that I could fly out to LA and stay in LA and find a showcase myself and pay for all that for cheaper than what they were offering.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm kind of taking the knowledge and I'm gonna use some of that to my advantage.
Now, will you still have an agent when you do that, or are you going without an agent?
So the showcase is out in LA is for agents.
Okay.
So it's to put yourself in front of agents.
Okay.
But the other 3 agents that were there on Saturday could still call me back in the next week. So I could still wait for them. One of them was based in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
And she seemed to really like me. I told her about how I did stand up, and she was like, "Oh yeah, I've got friends there at the Laughing Skull Lounge. I know that place."
That's awesome.
Yeah. So made some connections, did that, and I'm gonna continue to pursue that. I've got some ideas for stuff to do here in Atlanta. Atlanta is actually a great place right now for this industry because it's they're filming a lot of movies here, and there's a lot of talent here and a lot of talent scouting here.
Good.
So I'm going to continue to kind of do some of that independently. I don't think I need that other company, and I don't want to pay someone to like maybe find an agent. I think I can kind of do some of that stuff on my own, and be a little more thrifty with it. Mm-hmm. So, but still exciting. I mean, it still was a positive event, and
good.
I definitely learned some things, and I'm definitely, going forward with some of those things. So it's exciting.
That's awesome, man. That's really exciting. I'm really interested to see where that goes. Keep us updated.
I am too. It'd be nice. I got some bills to pay, and it's like, hey, Disney. Let me tell you, Disney Plus. If you ever want a fucking like hot boy for some sitcom or some shit, look no further, because I am the hottest boy you'll ever find.
Oh, really now?
Yes.
What about those bread loaf abs?
I don't know if you know this, Luke, but I'm extremely attractive.
Oh, really?
Yes, and I'm funny.
Oh.
If you thought Gene Wilder was like the master of comedic timing, he was, but I'm really good at it too. So
awesome.
But yeah, that's fun. That's my industry stories, I guess.
All right. Well, I won't be looking. I was going to be looking for you on Netflix for a stand-up special, but I will look no further than Disney Plus for my Hot Boy Dreams, starring Michael Flanagan.
Yeah, I'll either get the raunchy Netflix special or I'll get like the sappy Disney Plus sitcom show. Those are my two demographics.
Disney's never going to hire you with this podcast out here.
I'll have to hide it. I'll have to do my best to hide it.
They're already listening in. They're like, oh, nope, not this guy.
Oh, shit. God damn it.
See,
this is why I need a stage name.
Michael Flanagan can be your stage name. Oh, wait, no, that's attached to this, isn't it?
It is.
You're already Michael Flanagan.
And I am already Michael Flanagan, so it's kind of an issue.
Yeah. Shucks.
But I also did some streaming. I streamed the end of Metal Gear Solid 2, wrapped that up. And, man, those streams, the Metal Gear Solid streams that I've done have really been my favorite streams of all time. Because, like, people show up that are just so into Metal Gear, and they're so into, like, watching someone experience Metal Gear. So I had some really cool people that were hanging out with me in chat during that. And they really elevate the experience. Like,
good.
Metal Gear Solid is a wild experience to begin with. But those people that, they help me along. They help me with stuff without giving me, like, too much hand-holding and too much spoilers.
Good.
But they just help me experience that to its fullest. and they really elevate it, like, even farther than it would be if I was just playing it privately. So I really appreciate that. It's really, really fun.
Good, man.
And we're gonna continue. I will probably mid-December. I'll jump into MGS3, which I'm really excited about. So
heck yeah. I know Habari's been really excited to watch you play some Metal Gear.
Yeah, he was there. Fortune, shout out to Fortune. That's all I'm gonna say.
That's all you're gonna say?
Yep, that's all I'm gonna say.
What does that mean?
The end of Metal Gear Solid 2 is so wild. It's like, and it's funny because, it's impossible not to know anything about Metal Gear Solid at this point. So, like, I know some things going in. Like, I already knew the Raiden twist, that you actually play as Raiden for most of the game.
Mm-hmm.
I already knew that. But when I had been looking at Metal Gear Solid 2, it seems like most of the screenshots that I've ever seen were of, like, naked Raiden.
Okay.
Because there's a part where you're naked and, like, you're running around and he's, like, covering himself.
Uh-huh.
It's really funny because they take mechanics away. One of the funniest jokes, probably one of the funniest jokes I've ever experienced in video games. So MGS2 has this mechanic where you can hang from ledges.
Yeah. And
when you're naked, they take that away from you because it's like you can't hang from a ledge because Raiden wouldn't be able to cover himself. So they just take that mechanic away from you because he wouldn't be able to cover himself. It's and they don't like say that, but they're like, yeah, you can't hang from ledges right now, and it's so funny. It's like it's so not in your face, but it's like it's you got to kind of really realize why that is, but it's so fucking funny. I love it.
That's perfect.
But that section, perfect. So when I was thinking about Metal Gear Solid 2, I thought that section where he's naked was like at the beginning. I thought it was like way longer, but no, that's like towards the end, and it's a pretty short section. But the end of that game is there's like 40 minutes of cutscenes at the end of that game.
Oh my god!
But like before the final boss fight, and it's just so fucking wild. It's like so it gets so meta.
Really?
Like it's like it's a trip. It's a trip for sure.
I've never played or watched a Metal Gear Solid game. When are you going to play the third one?
Probably mid-December. I have the next couple streams that I'm going to do. I want to do some one-off stuff.
Okay.
I'm thinking about playing Sekiro on stream
during
Thanksgiving. I've already beaten the game, but I want to play it again.
Yeah, dude, I would love to watch that. I was watching Megan play a little bit, and I didn't get enough of it. I want to watch the whole thing.
It's a really good game. Really good moods in that game. Really, really good moods. So, but yeah, probably mid-December we'll jump in. I want to leave some space in between them. I don't want to go like 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 back to back to back.
Mm-hmm.
I want to give them some space to breathe and kind of be excited for the next one and not just like blow through them all.
Right. Right.
Immediately. So
that makes sense.
So yeah, that's my existential crisis rant and my week and
your week
my games
today.
And stuff. My week today. Okay. So I've got a couple things before we go into the podcast proper. We are going to do a pretty good Pokemon Sword and Shield impressions. I want to hear what you think of those games. I am actually really, really excited to hear what you think about those games.
Sure.
Before that, we've got a couple things. First is your SAT prep for today's podcast.
Okay. So it's rigged and I can't win.
It's not rigged. If you play by the rules, you will win SAT prep. It's really that simple.
Okay. All right.
I promise you. So SAT prep is a game that we play on this podcast where I give my guest a vocab word, and during the course of the podcast, they must use that word convincingly. And if they do so, they win and they get points. If they use the word unconvincingly, if it seems forced, if they use the word incorrectly, or if they forget to use the word at all, then they will lose, and we will close the podcast on the guest reading a silly video game line. And I get all of those lines from randomvgquotes.com. They're all completely random. So are you ready for today's SAT prep, Luke?
I was born ready, Michael. Hit me with it.
Your SAT prep word for this podcast is reiterate.
Wait.
Reiterate.
Could you say that one more time?
Do you want me to reiterate?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay. So that is your SAT prep.
Okay.
We've also got a game. So I like playing games. We're going to get things nice and loose and silly up in this podcast.
Okay.
So I have a game for you today that I made. It's called Spin Dash or Six Slash.
Whoa. Spin dash or six slash?
Six Slash. Yep. Spin Dash or Six Slash.
Okay.
So, unfortunately, today's podcast is going to be put in that weird Sonic category on iTunes.
No.
I apologize. I promise this will be the only episode that does it. But our friend Sonic the Hedgehog, he says some wild stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
He says some wild things. And sometimes it's hard to tell if those are actually things that Sonic has actually said. So this game is, I have a list of quotes from Sonic the Hedgehog. Some of them are real and some of them are fake. And if you think the quote is real, you must say Spin Dash, which is an actual thing that Sonic does.
Yeah.
And if you think the quote is fake, then I want you to say Six Slash, which is a fake thing that Sonic does.
Okay.
Okay.
Wait.
Ready?
Spin dash or six slash?
Six Slash, yeah.
Oh, God,
like
dude,
Six Slash, dude.
I have a lisp. This is going to be so hard.
Okay.
All right.
Are you ready? There are 12 quotes in total.
Spin dash, six slash. Let's do it.
Mm-hmm. Meow.
Six slash.
No, that's a Spin Dash.
What? He says
He
meow?
He said that's the iconic line from the first Sonic the Hedgehog movie trailer.
Do you think I watched the movie trailer? I don't know.
Everybody watched that fucking movie trailer. Sonic looked horrifying.
Meow? All right.
Yeah, that's his first line. He says,
I'm winning in my heart. I'm winning in my heart.
Meow.
Okay.
So you fail. You failed the first one.
Well, next. I thought we were going by the video games.
No, this is okay. To be clear, this is Sonic in all medium.
Okay. Got it.
Video games, movies, TV shows, all of it.
All right, I'll take the L. I'll take that L. Let's go to the next one.
I could kiss you.
Okay, this one is your favorite. This is a Spin Dash, and the only reason I know is because you're obsessed with that scene where he like kisses that girl.
That is a Six Slash.
No, what?
I made that up.
Oh, that sounds like your favorite scene from a Sonic video game. Okay. Wow, I'm not doing well.
No, you're not. Okay. You're a horrible roommate, and no one in this house likes you.
This sounds like... Were you there when we watched that terrifying Sonic game where, like, it was very meta and it was a VR game?
Yes, Sonic Dreams Collection.
Yeah.
That does not count. That is not an officially licensed Sega Sonic property.
Fair enough. I'm going to say Six Slash.
That's a Spin Dash, my friend.
Are you kidding me? What is this from?
You're a horrible roommate, and no one in this house likes you. That is from the Sonic Boom TV show.
You're kidding me. That is messed up. I can't believe that's on a Sonic show. No one likes you. Oh my god. All right. Well, I'm clearly going to get 0 out of 12 on this.
Okay, here's your next one.
This is shocking. I'm learning so much about Sonic I didn't know.
This is my power, and I'm using it to protect my chili dogs.
Oh, that's okay. That sounds like something from the show. So I'm gonna say Spin Dash.
That is a Six Slash.
Are you kidding me?
So this is most of a quote from the movie trailer, but he doesn't say chili dogs. He says friends. He says, I'm using this power. This is my power, and I'm using it to protect my friends, is what he actually says.
Doesn't that sound like something that would have been in the show?
Yes, it does, which is why it's brilliantly written by me.
Michael, you're doing really well here. You're doing really well here.
I want to save the world, but I can't run if I can't tie my shoes.
What? Wait, can you reiterate that real quick?
I want to save the world, but I can't run if I can't tie my shoes.
That is a Six Slash.
Yep, okay. That's your first point.
Finally.
That is your first point.
He doesn't even have... Does he even have laces? I don't think Sonic has laces on his shoes. I think they're like Velcro.
Yep, that's a good observation from you. You used your context clues to sniff that one out. Hold on. Let me use the restroom first.
Are you kidding me? This could go either way. I'm going to say 6/.
Okay, that's your second point. That is a 6/.
Michael, these are way too good. Oh, no.
It's your body. No one has...
What?
Hold on, I gotta compose myself.
Go ahead.
It's your body. No one has the right to touch you if you don't want them to.
That's a 6/.
That is a spin dash. That is a Sonic Says. Jaleel White, or Steve Urkel himself, said that line.
What is this from?
This is from Sonic Says, so it was like a little, the Sonic TV show?
Yeah.
Featuring Jaleel White.
Yeah.
This was like a public announcement kind of thing that they did on the show.
That is hilarious. Oh my god! Can you tell me that one more time? That quote.
It's your body. No one has the right to touch you if you don't want them to.
That's a good...
Wise words from Sonic the Hedgehog, I must say.
That's a really good PSA, but like I'm amazed, honestly. I'm amazed.
Okay. We're going to keep going. We have a few more.
Okay. Compose myself.
Can't run fast enough on an empty stomach.
Definitely a spin dash.
That is a 6/.
Are you kidding? Dude, these are so good. You watched a lot of Sonic to prep for this.
The funny story is that I did these this morning in like 5 minutes. But it's so easy. Like, once you find some real Sonic quotes, it's so easy to fake them. It's so fucking easy.
Oh man, this is really fun. This is a good one.
No copyright law in the universe is gonna stop me.
6/. Come on.
That's a spin dash.
Dude, what the hell is this? What is this from the show?
That is from I didn't write down what that is from, but that is from, I think, one of the games.
Oh
Might be
my
from one of the
gosh.
adventure games. I'm not sure.
That's absurd.
It is. Hey, Eggman, chew on this.
Spin dash for sure.
Nope, that's a 6/.
Michael! How many do I have left?
You have 1, 2, 3 left.
Okay.
You currently have 2 points.
Oh, God. Oh, man, this is hard. Okay.
Could you carve that on a stone tablet for me?
That's a 6/. For sure.
Yep. Okay. It's funny. All the ones that you've gotten have been 6/.
I can smell some BS here and there. It's just that the real ones are, like, so shocking. All the real ones are so shocking.
It's no use. I can't stop tripping.
Oh, man. Spin dash?
Nope. That's fake. That is a 6/.
Michael, you've gotten so deep into my head, I don't know what's real anymore.
Okay.
Oh, God.
You've got car insurance, right?
Oh, come on. Please tell me this is 6/.
No, he says that in the next movie trailer.
No! No!
That's the last one. That's the last one. You got
wait.
3 out of 12 points.
No, give me more. I need more.
That's all I've got for you, friend. That's all I've got.
Ah, come on.
So that was spin dash or 6/.
Thank you, Michael. I tried.
That was really fun. These were really fun to write, I have to say.
That was a really good one.
What is your favorite real quote and what is your favorite fake quote?
I think my favorite real quote was Well, no, my favorite fake quote I think was the like. My favorite real quote was the PSA. My favorite fake quote was the one where like he wanted to kiss someone. What was that one?
Where's that one? I could kiss you.
I totally thought that was real.
Yeah, it's like just vague enough. It's like,
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds like a line of dialogue.
Yeah. I think that was my favorite fake one.
Yeah.
Can you say the PSA one more time?
Hey kids, Sonic the Hedgehog here. I'm here to say it's your body. No one has the right to touch you if you don't want them to. That's no good.
Oh.
Okay, well you get a failing score for that.
Hey, I got 3 points.
Yeah, so
What do
you get a D.
How do I spend my D?
That's a D rank.
How do I spend it?
How do you spend it? What do you
Yeah,
mean? You don't spend ranks. You can spend points. Like if you win SAT prep, you can spend those points.
I want to spend my D.
You can't. You can't spend your D.
I'm going to come over there and spend my D.
Okay. I'll wait. Wait until the end of the podcast, though, please.
All right, let's do this.
Okay. Now that we're all having fun, Luke.
Hey.
We're going to talk about some Pokemon.
Okay, yeah. Pokemon Red or Pokemon Yellow?
We're going to talk about Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield.
Oh, God, come on. Those games? Really?
Yes. And so here's how I want to start the discussion. Here's how I want to kind of frame it.
Sure.
So the Nintendo Switch has been an incredibly successful console. And we've seen several first-party games that have really gone all in. They've really just taken out all the stops. You know, we launched with Breath of the Wild. We had, in the same launch year, we had Mario Odyssey, which is, in my opinion, the best Nintendo Switch game and is one of my favorite games of all time. We had Xenogears 2. We had Splatoon 2. We've had Luigi's Mansion 3. So we've had these games, these first-party games, where we've had, Smash Brothers Ultimate, where these games have really just gone all in and creative, like, they have created definitive games in their respective franchises, right? Breath of the Wild is talked about as if it's the best Zelda game. And I have issues with it myself. But, like, clearly they put so much work into that game. They made it something so unique, and they went all in on it. Mario Odyssey is one of the best Mario games that has been created. It's a definitive game in that franchise. Smash Brothers Ultimate is like just this huge package of a game. And so my question for you to start this discussion is, do you think Sword and Shield stands with those games? Do you think it is a definitive Pokemon game? Do you think they went all in and made this, like just the best Pokemon could be? Do you think that it do you think that it just has that something else? It's just like, yes, this is a step above. This is just pure. This is what this franchise was made for, basically.
Wow, that's a tough question to answer, and it's a little bit loaded.
Yeah, and I want to make it clear because it's separate from the question of did you have fun. That is a completely separate question, because I think that you can have fun with a game and not think that it is the best that it could be, or it's a definitive entry in the series. So my question is not my question is not did you have fun with Pokemon Sword and Shield? It's, do you think it stands with those games on Nintendo Switch that are just like, all, full hitters?
Mm-hmm. It's a tough question, and it's a little loaded because I think both you and I know there is a lot of blowback about Sword and Shield previous to its release. I have to say, as someone who has played it a lot, and maybe we can talk more about that if it comes up, but as someone who's played it quite a lot, I have to say 95% of the complaints about the game made by people before it came out do not matter. It is in my opinion, the best Pokemon game I have played. Does it stand with other Switch games? It's really hard to say. I think it's too subjective to say that it stands with it or not.
Well, like here's what like Mario Odyssey is a great looking game. It controls well. It runs well. It's not just like that. It's a fun Mario game. It's like everything is firing on all cylinders, and it's just like full stop. For all senses.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, does Pokemon Sword and Shield have that? I mean, do you think that it looks the best that it can? Do you think it runs the best that it can? Do you think the music is the best ever? Do you think it controls as good as it should?
Well, I don't think any game on the Switch is a 10 in every department. I think
No, I mean, no game is.
right. I think it does a very good job. Is it perfect? No. If I were to give it a rank, if everything was averaged together, I would give it an 8 out of 10. It's very, very, very good. It is, in my opinion, still the best Pokemon game I've played. But if you're comparing it against other genres and other games on the Switch, does it stand up to them as a Switch game? Almost. I would say it's like really close to being one of the best Switch games. But I think there's a lot of subjective pieces to it that maybe don't let it get up to a 10. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, because, I mean, in my opinion, like, Pokemon, there's something inherent about Pokemon that is just fun. There's something inherent about just battling a Pokemon and throwing a Pokeball at it that will always be fun no matter what.
Right.
But it's like jumping as Mario will always be fun, but that doesn't mean that every Mario game is a 10,
Exactly, yeah.
Most are, but...
Yeah, for the things that are important for a Pokemon game, it's a 10 for me. It's a 10 for me.
Okay.
I think for a lot of people, it might be an 8. As a Pokemon game, it's a 10.
Wow. Those are big words. So just ramble at me. I mean, tell me what you think about the game. Tell me about some of it.
Sure. So
tell me about...
Yeah, definitely. Let me break down kind of what you mentioned before, all the bits and pieces. So you mentioned music, you mentioned looking the best, you mentioned like feel, and kind of what makes a Pokemon game. So music is easily, for me, and I think a lot of people agree, it's a straight 10. This is one of the best soundtracks they've had. The gem music is incredible. It's the best gem music they've had since Unova, which is X and Y, which also had very good gem music. Just for some frame of reference, the Pokemon game this time around takes place in a region where Pokemon battles are celebrated and watched like major sporting events. So every time you're in a gym battle, you're actually in a giant stadium with like tens of thousands of people watching you. And they do a really good job of immersing you in that part of the story. So you have this new mechanic called Dynamaxing. And essentially, your Pokemon grows to like huge proportions. Certain Pokemon also get to change their form. And it's basically like a kaiju battle in this huge arena. So like, they really, I think the thing that this game does well is immersing you into the content. But back to the music piece, you have this really intense music with all these people cheering in the crowd, with this wonderful piece. And then you get down to the final Pokemon of your opponent. So your opponent you've worked through their team, they've pulled out their final Pokemon, they Dynamax it, they've got their Kaiju, you've got your Kaiju, and the music completely changes. It goes from like the crowd cheering a little bit to some like funky gym music to the crowd just going absolutely crazy. Wah, 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 for the whole part of the end of the battle. And it's just so intense. Every time you fight a gym leader, you just feel like you're the most important person who's ever played Pokemon.
I do like some dynamic music, so that's good to hear.
Yeah, very, very cool part of the game, in terms of music. Does it look the best? So a majority of the game looks incredible. There's a lot of really beautiful detail. There are a few places where the game is very lacking in that department.
Is it the wild area? Because
yes.
I feel like every screenshot that I obviously haven't played the game, but I feel like everything that I've seen from the game, like smaller closed-in areas look pretty good. Like inside a house looks pretty good. But some of the wild area looks just kind of hazy and foggy and maybe
Well,
not as high res.
Well, so you mentioned hazy and foggy. That's by design. So the wild area is actually dynamic. It changes every day, like in real time. There are, I think, about 20 different parts of the wild area that each have their own environmental hazards. So it could be clear one day, and then the next day it's raining, or there's a snowstorm, or a sandstorm, and there are different Pokemon in that area depending on what kind of weather.
Well, so like even if it's like foggy or even if it's like a clear day, how is the draw distance like when you're looking off over the horizon?
So
How is that?
It's actually insane. I think the reason. So I will say the one complaint I have about the wild area graphically are the trees. The trees look like trees from the Nintendo 64.
Yeah.
I will say. Outside of the trees, everything looks actually pretty good. And I think maybe the reason they did this, there's probably a better way they could have done it. The draw distance is insane. You can actually see from one end of the wild area to the other, and that's almost the length of the entire region.
Wow. Okay.
Right. So you can literally see from end to end.
Is it just like, but like when you're looking off in the distance, do things look low poly? Do they look,
No, not
low
really.
res? Are there
No.
Pokemon like if you're standing on one end, can you see a Pokemon like
Oh,
way the
no.
fuck out there?
No. So if there are Pokemon out there, either they're hidden by like environmental hazards, or they haven't popped up. So you do have pop-ups in this game, meaning if you're like 30 yards away from Pokemon, you may not see it, but if you move 10 more yards, it'll pop up in front of you.
Okay. And then one question I have too
Sure.
is like in the Let's Go games, Pokemon will pop up and then disappear. Does that happen here? Like if you see a Pokemon kind of off in the distance, and like will it disappear at a certain point? Will it kind of just fade away? You know how it does
Right.
in Let's Go?
Yeah. So there are four different variations on that. For normal overworld Pokemon, there is a type of Pokemon similar to Let's Go, and those are the ones you see out in the overworld that are running around in grass or around grass. Those do disappear like Let's Go. Then there's actually a second type of Pokemon in the grass, and those are hidden Pokemon that you'll notice. You'll see a Pokemon kind of rustling around in the grass, but you can't see what it is. Those also disappear, but they're harder to see in the first place. And you have to actually go into the grass itself rather than just interact with the Pokemon in the overworld. So that's the second type. The third type are special overworld Pokemon called strong spawns. And these are generally static, for the most part, static encounters that change depending on the weather. So there's a certain area in the wild area where there's a rare spawn, and you can only get these rare spawns, most of them, once every 2 days. So say you catch it, no matter what the weather is, you will not find another spawn there for
2 days in game time or
No, real
like
time.
2 actual days? Oh,
two
wow.
actual days. Yeah. So it actually feels like, you're using resources there. But you have these static spawns, and there's this one example where you go across a bridge and there's a Snorlax, and there's always a Snorlax there except when it's foggy, and there's a Clefairy. So if I were to catch that Snorlax and I come back when it's foggy, if it's only been like a day, you won't see that Clefairy there.
Interesting.
So that's one example of a Pokemon disappearing. Another example would be, say you're sitting there and it's like 11:59 at night, and it's about to switch over to different weather, and you're looking at that Snorlax and you're going towards that Snorlax. If the weather changes over and it suddenly turns to fog, you're not going to see that Snorlax anymore. Instead, you'll see Clefairy. Now, that's a very niche case. I don't know if that'll ever actually happen to a person.
Is it jarring when that happens? Is it like,
Well, there's literally only a 2-second time span each day that could ever happen, right?
Okay.
Like that can only ever happen when the weather changes from 11:59 to 12:01. So I don't think it might be jarring, but the chance of you ever encountering that is so low. I don't think it would be a problem.
Okay. How's the frame rate in the wild area? Is it chuggy or?
Oh yeah. Thank you for bringing that up. In docked mode, I haven't had any problems whatsoever. But I did play. I was out of town this week, so I played a lot handheld. There were some moments Oh, so there's actually this whole new component about the game, which we can talk about, but there's an online portion of this game where you can interact with, kind of like in Death Stranding, where you could potentially interact with a bunch of things that people leave. There's something similar in this Pokemon game, and you can have like about 100 people all kind of interacting with stuff that you do as well, live in kind of your own little instance.
Really?
Yes, and because of that, I do think it causes some lag issues in handheld mode. So there have been a few times where I've had frame drops. Nothing too serious, but definitely like noticeable enough for me to be like, "Oh, my frames just dropped."
I'm assuming you could turn that off by just going offline.
Yeah,
Maybe
exactly.
it would help.
Yeah. I think it was just having so many people, kind of all playing together.
You said like how many people could be in your world?
I think it's somewhere between like 50 and 100.
Wow. Do you think that's like? Do you think it needs to be that many, or do you think like?
It makes it feel very alive. The fact that like I can just travel through the wild area and literally go to people's camps and like cook with them, or like watch people trying to recruit others to like do a raid. That's so cool. Like there's this one. This is kind of a mechanic of the game, and we can go into depth or whatever. But there's a mechanic where like you can find this den where Pokemon are like living in, and if the den is active and you can go inside it, you can recruit people to come help you try to catch these Pokemon in the den. And you can actually go up to a den that's really popular. Like, for instance, right now the game is just coming out, so everyone wants to catch a really strong Ditto so they can breed competitive Pokemon. So there's this one den that's like guaranteed to have a Ditto, and everybody knows where it is because everybody wants a Ditto. So
Everyone wants that fuck boy.
It's really funny. It's really funny to ride your bike over to that den and see like 4 or 5 people standing there looking for others. So that's kind of cool.
I guess that is like something that's unique to this game. Then is like, hey, we're all hunting the same Pokemon. Mm-hmm. That does sound pretty cool.
It's extremely cool.
Before, I mean, on the 3DS games, I believe, at least in Sun and Moon, they had the thing where you go to like the little festival area and there's like other players' avatars that are kind of there, and you can talk to them and do stuff there.
This is the first time you've gotten to actually interact with a trainer themselves. And the thing is, like, it's not just an avatar. You can actually see them moving around in real time, going to where they're actually going on the map.
So it's Destiny.
It's very, very cool. I will say, I was shocked. I didn't hear a single thing about that.
This is the first time that I'm hearing about it.
Yeah, it shocked me. And I will say, this is a game. Obviously, you can play single player, and you'll have no drawbacks. But this is the first Pokemon game that I felt like, okay, this is a multiplayer game. I've streamed it the past 2 days, and even when I haven't been streaming, half the time I'm playing with other people.
Wow.
Yeah.
So like you had Gobi in town, and you guys were playing it. Like, what was the experience like? Were you all kind of just sitting around in a big like kumbaya and playing Pokemon? And I mean, what was that like?
It was exactly like that. So we played through the story, but there were these raids, right? So once we all unlocked the wild, actually before we all unlocked the wild area, I had gotten there pretty early.
Oh, so like how far into the game is the wild area?
Maybe like 2 hours, 3 hours at the most. That's pretty
good...
early, but it's like, oh man. The thing is, it took me 45 hours to beat the game, even though it's only like a 15-hour game story-wise, because I spent so much time in the wild area just messing around.
How big is it? Like, is it geographically varied? Like, is it just like all kind of a plains, or is it like, oh, there's some caves over there, there's maybe a desert or a lake or something?
Yeah, so there's a big lake, a small lake, there's a desert area, there are a lot of plains, there's like a little watchtower you can go to. It's pretty varied, but also the weather keeps it varied. Like one day you could be in one spot and it's very bright and sunny, and then the next day it might be covered in snow. So you don't really know what you're getting. It just kind of depends on the day. But yeah.
So by the end of it, do you feel like you knew the wild area and you're like, yeah, I know my way around here? It's like,
no.
There's that landmark, really?
Hell no. No, I'm starting to learn it now, 110 hours in. Yes, in 10 days.
110 hours.
In 10 days. In 10 days, I put 110 hours into this game.
110 hours.
Dude, that's the power of this game. It's insane. Because, like, it's a multiplayer game. Every time you log on, there are people who are like, hey, can you help me with this? Hey, do you want to do this thing? You know?
I wonder if you added up, like, all the time that I've spent in my life, like, taking a shit. I wonder if that would equal the amount of time that you've played Pokemon in 1 week.
Hey, 10 days. 10 days, not 1 week.
Have I spent over 110 hours shitting? I really do wonder.
I don't know. But it's that kind of game, honestly.
Interesting. So, you've beaten the main story.
Yeah, and the post game.
And the post game. What's the post game like?
So, oh man. So there's actually so much story content, but they make it optional. Like, you don't have to do anything you don't really want to. Like, that's
Do you fight fucking Red again? Isn't that a thing that you do in like every game?
You don't fight Red. No. And no, that's actually not in every game.
I feel like it's in every game that I've played, so maybe it's just a unique
Definitely
case
not.
for that.
Yeah, like Red is in the original games and Gold and Silver, and I think he might be in Fire Red and Leaf Green, but he's definitely not in every game.
He's in Moon, I know that.
Okay, got it. That was the game I played the least.
Okay, I feel like he's in Let's Go as well. You fight him or something, but
right, but those are the original games. So
yeah, I guess it's a remake, so it makes sense.
But do you fight Red in that game, or is it Blue? Because you definitely fight Blue.
Oh, dude, I don't know. I don't know what the fucking difference is.
Blue is Gary, basically.
Okay. Blue is Virgil, red is Dante.
Yeah. But what were we talking about? I totally lost my train of thought.
So the post game.
Oh yeah, so you have the game story. It's very short and sweet. It's about 15 hours. Now, will anybody ever actually beat it in that amount of time? Probably not, because you're going to have fun getting lost in the side stuff. I can't see anybody beating it in 15 hours, but that's how long it is if you just ignored everything cool about the game. And then you have the post game. Post game's totally optional. You don't have to do it, but the post game's pretty chunky. It's about like 5 to 10 hours. So it's pretty long, just depending on, like, you know, if you want to do it. And then there's also post game. And post game technically is post game, but like, you can do it right after you beat the game, but some of it feels very like extra. So there are lots and lots of secrets hidden in the game after you've beaten the game. There are like a lot of story battles you can do. So for instance, you meet this character. She's really awesome. She goes back home and becomes a gym leader at her gym. But none of the story ever drives you there. So after you beat the game, if you decide to go back there and talk to her, you can actually fight her as the new gym leader and kind of like get some closure about what happened to her. And they have similar moments like that for many, many of the characters.
So how are the characters overall? Like, how is the rival? How is just the cast in general?
So there's kind of a meme about your rival named Hop. And Hop is always, every single time you talk to Hop, he always talks about his unbeatable champion brother. And the champion is his brother Leon. So Hop is a little memey. Overall, I'll say the story is great.
It's great.
One problem I have with the story, not this story, but Pokemon in general, every time I play Pokemon past like Gold and Silver, I feel like the like Team Rocket equivalent is usually terrible. Like, it's some shoehorned, very poorly written story about like they're trying to do this one thing because this one thing is bad, or they hate the world, or they're just pure evil, or it's like this really bad attempt to be an anti-hero. I've really disliked a lot of the Team Rocket-esque stories after like Gen 2 and 3.
Yeah, Team Rocket is like, you nailed it. Like, that's a cool team name. Like, oh, Team Rocket. Those guys seem so bad. Team Skull was like, I like that they're like a bunch of goobers. Mm-hmm. And then I think they had like a kind of cool story where they're like just a bunch of rejects or something like that, which is kind of cool, kind of different. But But yeah, I haven't played all of the Pokemon games, but the sentiment is definitely that like the teams kind of just suck.
Mm-hmm. And I will say, Team Skull was pretty good. I think they do even better with the team in this game. The team in this game is like, it's hilarious. It's actually
they're like
really funny.
Sports fans, right? They're just
Yeah,
like, they've got a bunch
sports fans.
What is that thing called? A vuvuzela?
It's great. It's fantastic. And the bad guy of the story, there's not really a bad guy, to be honest. There's never really a bad guy. It's more
there
like,
shouldn't be, I think.
Yeah. And it's
Pokemon
like,
games don't need to have like a villain, you know. That's the thing that kind of made me like moan and groan about fucking Moon, is that like you're dealing with like this almost like end of the universe event,
right,
where this Pokemon's just gonna fuck up the reality of everything, and then you've just got like your main character who's just like sitting there blank face with this little drawn in smile. It's just like this doesn't need to be this. I'm just a kid trying to collect some Pokemon and stuff. Like, it doesn't need to be like world ending, and I don't need like a villain, you know. I just want to have fun.
Well, there's not really like a true villain. There's somebody that you interact with quite a bit in the story, and you do stop their plan, but they're not like a bad person, right? And it takes up maybe like an hour of the entire story, so it's very like enclosed. But you do fight someone where like you're against them, right? But there's no like overarching villain.
I mean, everyone you fight is you're against them, right?
Yeah.
The little fucking kid who's like, I only collect bug Pokemon. You're like,
yeah,
your plan is stupid. You need to vary up your Pokemon.
Right. Well,
get some rock types in there, fucking bug boy.
I guess what I'll say is like they shoehorned a part of the story in order to make the legendaries relevant. But I actually really enjoyed that part of the story, and it's also it's just a really fun encounter. I don't know, but there's no like what I'll say is that the story wasn't consumed by this rain cloud of like doom and destruction. Let me put it that way.
Good. That's good. That's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
So overall, how would you say the new Pokemon are?
Oh, so good.
I've seen some good Pokemon, honestly.
Yeah, I will say there are like there are under 5 Pokemon from the new gen that I dislike. There are,
really?
Yeah.
I haven't seen all of them, but there are probably more than 5 that I do dislike. But I've seen a lot of really, really good Pokemon actually.
Mm-hmm. I'm really, really happy with the new Pokemon. Because it's really easy to feel apathetic about new Pokemon because you're kind of like, just a new generation. But it felt good. I don't know. They did a good job of making the new Pokemon feel good. And
did you catch a Farfetch'd?
I cannot catch a Farfetch'd because I'm playing Shield. But Danny was kind enough to trade me one, and guess what I got? Surfetch'd.
So it's funny. Like, I think Surfetch'd, actually, when they revealed Surfetch'd, I'm like, the art of Surfetch'd looks really good, and his in-game model looks kind of in my opinion. But I saw recently, I think this week, I didn't know that like they made actually a region variant of Farfetch'd himself.
Yeah,
I thought you'd just get I just thought you'd get like a regular Farfetch'd, and then he would turn it into Surfetch'd.
No,
but I almost like the what is it, Galarian?
Yep, Galarian.
The Galarian Farfetch'd more than I like Surfetch'd. Mm-hmm. Because the Farfetch'd is just like a pissed off Farfetch'd with like a giant like beef leak.
It's sick. Now, are you familiar with how you evolve Galarian Farfetch'd?
It's kind of crazy. Don't you have to get like 3 crit attacks in like one battle or something?
In one battle. Oh,
yeah, that's insane.
It's so epic. So like, do you want the strategy I used? Or do you want to come up with your own? Okay.
Yeah, hit me with that.
So I wanted to find a Pokemon that Farfetch'd was not very effective against, so that
it's like you can't kill it, right? Because that would ruin it.
Exactly, that would ruin your streak unless you're like in a trainer battle. But I had already beaten the post game, so the only other chance would be if I went back and did like the championship again.
Could you get it if you did it online? Like, could you fight someone online and do it that way?
I don't think so. They've never allowed you to do that before, so I don't think so. But maybe. So what I did, I mentioned those static spawns. There's a static spawn of a Steelix out there in the wild, and I knew exactly where it was. So first thing, there are these. So you remember TMs and how in later games you can use TMs infinite number of times.
Sure.
So they still have TMs, but now in order to kind of like lengthen the number of available move options and to add some replayability to like the wild area, they introduced technical records. And these are more like original TMs where if you use them once, they break. And there is a technical record for focus energy. So when you catch Galarian Farfetch in the wild, it has a 50% chance to be holding a special leak item that increases Farfetch's critical chance significantly.
Okay,
so
you need that.
Yeah, so you wear that. You get focus energy, which raises your crit stage by 1. And then at level 55, Farfetch learns a Leaf Blade, which has a high crit hit rate, and that is the only move it learns with a high crit hit rate. So by the time you have the Leak, Focus Energy, and Leaf Blade, your critical hit percentage is like 99%.
Wow.
So, yeah. Okay. So I was level 55 fighting against a level 60 Wild Steelix. Yes, the wild Pokemon do get that high, and you can run into them at level 10. Every time I did a Leaf Blade, it was a critical hit and did like 35% of his health or less.
Wow.
So
okay.
I was able to evolve it that way.
Can you say high crit rate 3 times fast?
High crit rate, high crit rate, high crit rate.
Okay. Thank you.
But yeah, I did want to mention the fact that like early in the game, before you become strong, they don't hold up with the strong Pokemon. Like if you see a strong Pokemon out in the wild, you're supposed to be afraid of them. And if you choose to go walk up to them, they'll pound you into the ground.
So if you like lose all your Pokemon in the wild area, do you still just go back to the Pokemon Center?
You do, yeah. You do.
Not like, hey kid, we emptied your wallet when you were unconscious. Thanks for the money.
Yeah, but technically you're not losing against... I don't know if you lose money. I actually didn't test it, but I've gotten really close. Like early in the game, there was a moment where I had like a full party and they all got wiped because I was trying to be brave and fight a Pokemon 20 levels above me. And got down to my last Pokemon and was able to run. But they don't pull the punches. Like if you knowingly go into a part of the wild area that you're not ready for, things can get ugly.
Interesting. Okay. So, the Galar region has kind of a UK aesthetic to it. Do you feel like they nailed the aesthetic for the whole game? Or do you feel like there's certain areas that are like, yeah, they nailed it here, and then maybe they didn't here?
I don't know if it matches, like, the UK in terms of geography, because personally I just don't know enough about geography to say. But they actually were pretty consistent with, like, the character voices. Like it's not voice acted, but like the text, the dialogue, is in that accent, right? And you can tell.
Did you get called a cunt?
No.
Well, then it's probably not very accurate.
Fair enough. I feel like that's more of an Australian thing, but I guess UK does it too.
That's like super Scottish.
Okay, got it.
Definitely Australian as well, but like,
got it.
You fucking cunt.
Nice. But
did you see? By the way, this is a sidebar. But did you
Sure.
see somebody made a fan art of like what the Australian Pokemon game might look like? And it looked really cool.
Really? No, I haven't seen that.
Oh man, I'll see if I can find that and post it for you to look at. But
yeah, no, I haven't checked it out. But yeah. Yeah. Did they nail it? I think with the dialogue they did well. Outside of that, I honestly don't know. Like, I thought it was funny that like some of the Pokemon were what they were. So like, have you seen Obstagoon?
Gene Simmons, yes.
Gene Simmons. Is it supposed to be Gene Simmons? Let me look that up.
He looks like fucking Gene Simmons, dude.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
he's literally got the tongue and everything.
Yeah. He's definitely supposed to be Gene Simmons. I just didn't know who that was.
Okay, yeah.
Sorry.
Lead singer of Kiss.
Yeah, lead singer of Kiss, exactly.
For everyone that's under 16, I guess.
But yeah, you're basically supposed to the way that Lanoon evolves in Obstagoon is hilarious. Like, you look at the Pokedex entry and you're like, is this supposed to be a joke, or is this like dissing the UK? And it's basically saying that Lanoon is a thug, and it has like a bloodlust, and you need to feed its bloodlust in order for it to evolve. So Lanoon evolves at like level 20. In order to get it to Obstagoon, you have to beat up hundreds of Pokemon with Lanoon. So like, I had Lanoon the whole game and took until like level 50 for it to evolve. Wow. Just from like getting kills.
That's pretty funny.
So it's like, here's your thug Pokemon.
Are there a lot of like are there a lot of evolutions where it's like you have to do the specific thing? Because I like those actually.
Mm-hmm. I think there's a really cool one with Yamask. There's a Galarian Yamask that's like covered in runes instead of sitting in a pot, and you have to. It's really funny. It's super specific. It has to take at least 49 damage in a battle, and then after it's taken at least 49 damage, not including self-inflicted, you have to take it to a specific rock formation in the wild area.
Wow.
And that will evolve it. Yeah.
That is deep. I like stuff like that too, though. It's cool. It's like you're not just like getting to a number, you're actually kind of a little more involved in the evolution of your Pokemon.
It's great, and there are a few more. There's one called Alchemy, and in order to evolve Milcery, you have to find... There are all these different fruit items in the game, and Alchemy can look different. It's basically like a Cream Puff Pokemon, but it'll have like fruit decorating its head. And depending on the fruit you find, that's what it'll look like when you evolve it. So you find one of the fruits, and you literally... There's a move in the game where you can, like, if you spin the left controller stick, you'll spin around in a circle, and if you do that fast enough while you have the berry or like the fruit in your bag, it will, or attached to the Pokemon will spin fast enough and turn from cream into a cream puff, and it evolves.
Oh, that is so cool. I like that a lot.
I know,
that's really
cool.
really cool. That's like fucking Wonder Woman shit.
And it's awesome too, because like you get to choose the fruit you mix into the Milcery. So you get to choose what it looks like.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I like stuff like that. That's really unique. One other thing that I saw some of the fossil Pokemon.
Oh,
and so my understanding is that they're based on early archaeologists in the UK who like didn't really understand how dinosaur fossils were put together, so they kind of just put whatever together.
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
Just like mix it up and try to make things that work. And so the fossil Pokemon in this game, I've seen a couple of them, are like based on that. They're like obviously like they're like two body parts that don't fit together, but they look bad in my opinion.
Dude, that's really funny. That makes so much sense.
Yeah, I think the concept is cool, but I don't think they quite nailed it, because like the idea is that like they put parts together that kind of looked like they'd go together, but like the Pokemon clearly don't look like they go together at all.
No, all the fossil Pokemon are terrible.
Yeah.
But that's really funny now that I have some context, because I thought it was really interesting that you literally have to find, in order to get these Pokemon, you have to find different fossils, and you literally go to a machine and like put the pieces together. That is so funny with the context.
Yeah, I think it's a cool, unique idea. I don't think they nailed it. I think it's a cool thing to go for, but
they could have made the Pokemon better.
Yeah, sure. They could have made it look like they sort of go together instead of just like I mash my two action figures together.
Yeah, definitely. No, I feel that.
Okay, so my next question is, with Pokemon Sword and Shield, going forward with the Pokemon franchise, what is the biggest thing that you want to see in the next, Switch Pokemon game, whether it be next year or if next year's a spin-off or,
So what I want to see next year is Let's Go Gold and Silver. I would like to see them continue that franchise. I think that was a really good franchise.
You think they should do another Gold and Silver remake?
They did it with with Red and Blue with Let's Go.
Yeah, I guess.
You know how many Red and Blue remakes they've done? Like 5.
I know. Yeah, I know they've done a lot for that, but
like 5. I think they should do. I mean, dude, Silver and Gold are great, and they've only ever done one remake of it. I think they should continue doing that because Let's Go was a great game that actually got non-Pokemon people into Pokemon. Like people who were into phone games like Pokemon Go, they actually bought Switches and bought Pokemon and are now playing Sword and Shield. And I want to see more of that because I like Pokemon and I want more people to like it. So I hope next year that they continue that. I don't know if they will or not, but it would make me very happy personally.
Yeah, I think Let's Go is a cool idea. I think it's fun to just be like, I'm just going to play this like super. I mean, Pokemon is not a hard game.
But it's hyper casual.
To begin with. Yeah, it's just like, I'm just going to chill and have some fun.
Yeah.
I think like that game shouldn't be $60.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
But I mean, if they do it, Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee sold extremely well.
Mm-hmm.
And my understanding from what I've seen is that Sword and Shield are like the best selling.
Yeah, it's obscene.
Like the fastest selling Pokemon games.
In the first 3 days, it sold like 6 million copies just in Japan. Something absurd like that.
And that's with, not only all the controversies that have plagued the game up until release, but the game is more expensive.
Yep.
It features less Pokemon in it, and it still did that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I think that's a mark of just. I don't think that would happen if Sword and Shield were on 3DS.
Yeah,
I think it's a mark of how successful the Switch is and how people fucking love the Nintendo Switch. So I think that definitely benefited Sword and Shield. And
I think there are 2 other points there. You mentioned not having all the Pokemon. So for those who don't know, Sword and Shield only supports 400 of the about 900 now Pokemon. And that caused a lot of controversy because people have never been able to not bring their Pokemon there since Gold and Silver. That was the only time that's ever happened. People are not super happy about that. And kind of there's this middle ground coming out next year on the phone called Pokemon Home. And that will take over the role of Pokemon Bank on the 3DS, where you can put your Pokemon from every generation into this Pokemon Home, and you can only pull.
You can put them in, but like a lot of Pokemon, you can't do anything with them once they're in there.
And I was going to get to that. So you can pull out the Pokemon that are available in Sword and Shield in that game, but currently it only connects to Sword and Shield. They're not making it backwards compatible with other games to transfer back, only 2. So the problem there is that it's basically Pokemon jail. So once you put your Pokemon in Pokemon Home, until they release another game where you can pull that Pokemon out, you will continue to have to pay for that service. And we don't know what happens when you don't continue to pay. For Pokemon Bank, you could always withdraw your Pokemon if you didn't pay. You just couldn't put them in. Hopefully they will continue that, but it's very scary to have the idea that you can put your Pokemon away and not be able to take them out for an indefinite amount of time. Because we don't know.
That's a good way of putting it, is Pokemon jail.
Well, right, because we don't know when the next game is going to come out for those Pokemon to be able to play in. If they continue the pattern of not allowing all the Pokemon to be played, maybe they have to wait 6 years for the next generation to be able to pull out Lugia, like we don't know that yet. And maybe they're going to make DLC for Sword and Shield where they do release all of them. We have no idea. But it doesn't sit very well with me. That's one gripe I do have, is that they're releasing this application and you're going to have to pay for it, at least from what we understand now. But you won't be able to do anything with those Pokemon.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, is like you can put them in, but it's like, okay, where do they go from here? It's just are they just going to sit there for 3 generations until you put that Pokemon back in again? Mm-hmm, I think the whole Dexit thing, like, it sucks. I'm actually surprised that it took them this long to get to this problem. I'm surprised that like this didn't happen before, where they're like, we're going to have a Pokemon game that doesn't. And I think one of the remakes or something had something like that weird, or I don't know. But this is the biggest that it's been for not having all the Pokemon, and it sucks because for me, like, one of the things, I haven't played all the Pokemon games. I'm working through some of them. I'm still playing Crystal, but one of the things that's appealing to the franchise for me is like I can get my team and I can bring my boys, and like I can be like in this game I can be like, oh man, I caught that, way back there, and I leveled it up, and I think it's cool for like shinies. If you catch a shiny, it's like I got the shiny charm in Let's Go Pikachu, and I was doing some shiny hunting, and then I got to a point where it's like, well, what am I gonna really do with these Pokemon? I mean, there's not a lot of battling I can do, left in Let's Go, and if this Pokemon isn't in Sword and Shield, then it's like, I could get the shiny, but like, what am I gonna really do with it?
Right, and I think a lot of people felt the same way, and a lot of people you saw only farming Pokemon they knew were going to be in Sword and Shield.
Yeah.
But I think it's interesting. I'll say this. I actually didn't mind not having all the Pokemon. I was actually very worried I would be kind of upset, but they did such a good job of making the game feel the way it does. I can't really explain it. I didn't miss a single Pokemon. Like, there was never a moment where I was like, I really wish that Squirtle was here right now. I never had that moment. And I've had that in other games. I have had that in other games where I'll run into Charmander in the wild and be like, well, okay, where's Bulbasaur? Oh, I can't get it till post game? That sucks. But I didn't feel that at all.
Yeah. That's the other thing is I think people were expecting to at least have all of the starters. And to just have Charizard is like, wow.
But I didn't care. Honestly, I was surprised. It didn't bother me.
I'm not like it's an ancillary part of Pokemon, right? It's fun to have your boys with you, but it's not a like. It is and it isn't a key feature of the franchise. You're still battling Pokemon, you're still collecting Pokemon. That is the core of it. But yeah, I think it sucks. I think the scary part for people is like, well, my favorite Pokemon isn't in this game. Are they going to be in the next game? Like, what if, who's to say like when this Pokemon is going to show up again?
Right. And the thing is, we just have a lot of questions, and Game Freak isn't always the best about giving answers. We don't know what the future holds because they've given some like back and forth. There was a time when around Let's Go came out that they said they would never do this, and then they did it, and then they doubled down on saying they were doing it. But we don't know. In 6 months, we might see a $20 DLC that says, hey, you can now play with these other 200 Pokemon, and they're all being released as raids.
That would be nuts. That if they charge people...
Yeah.
If they charge people to put Pokemon in Pokemon Home and then charge people to get the Pokemon expansion pack, that would be the worst.
Absolutely. And I hope they don't. I really hope that that's not a thing. But I'm just saying, we don't know. Like, maybe that's the route that they're going, right?
And it's the other crazy thing is, like, going forward is, like, are all the Pokemon that are in Sword and Shield going to be in the next Pokemon game? Or is it like, okay, well, Farfetch'd is in Sword and Shield, but he's not going to be in the next one, Oh,
definitely not. No, like this, I guarantee you are never going to see Galarian. You're not going to see Surfetch'd in the next game.
Well, not even like Surfetch'd, but just like, Farfetch'd or like, obviously Pikachu is always going to fucking be there.
Right.
But, like I don't know the whole list. Like I think Salazzle isn't that one of those Pokemon?
Yeah.
Like okay, Salazzle made it in this game. Does that mean that they're going to make it in games going forward, or are they going to be cut the next game to make room for Pokemon that were cut this game? It's a whole mess. And like I said, it's surprising that they are just now getting to this problem. I think it was kind of an inevitable problem to run into. Even though it's like there's the whole thing where it's like they made all the fucking models and like future-proofed them, and the 3DS games ran like shit because they had these models that were like taking up way more room than they had space for. It's like
let's be real. This is Game Freak we're talking about, and I'm sure you've heard about their coding standards and how poor they are, right?
Yeah.
So let me just give you an example of Sun and Moon and the atrocities of Sun and Moon coding. There were almost 130 models for Lily in that game. Do you know why?
Yeah, I remember that right. Like
because anytime there was an instance of Lily that you would potentially interact with, it would load that entire model. It would load all of the Lily models. So you'd have like, that's why it was such a poorly optimized game.
I remember reading that. Yeah,
it was insane. It was insane.
It's like we had to have a Lily model loaded in every area that you would have a cutscene with Lily.
Exactly.
Or some shit. It's like,
right. And like, you know, they even had some boo-boos with Sword and Shield, like with Alchemy. Alchemy has a bunch of different models for each type of fruit, even though the fruit is just a little piece on top. Like, you very easily could have had like a sprite sheet or something like that and swapped out that piece of fruit at the top and only had one model. So you're only calling a specific fruit at the runtime, right? So like all these issues where it's like just poor coding practice. Now, I will say Sword and Shield is a great game, but I'm just saying for like optimizing, you know, if they're saying that it's because they couldn't optimize it, that's just poor development on their part.
Yeah, and it's like the models are not even like that good, you know?
For what?
Like, just like for the Pokemon, I mean, it's okay. Like, you know, they look like Pokemon and...
You mean in Sword and Shield?
Yeah.
So, they lied, actually. So, for a while back, they were saying the reason that they don't have all the Pokemon is because they made unique models. That was actually a lie. People went in and data mined and found out they were identical models for 95% of the Pokemon, and then a few Pokemon had minor tweaks. And then Game Freak actually came out and said, or like one of the designers on the team came out and said, "Oh no, we're using old models."
Yeah.
So they're not even using new models for the game.
Yeah, and it's like I've seen GIFs of people like, "Oh man, look at these Pokemon interacting with each other," and it's like one Pokemon standing there, and then the other Pokemon like pivots like 180 degrees, like doesn't have an animation. It just like the whole model just like pivots 180 degrees.
Are you talking about the sword Pokemon?
I'm just talking about like Pokemon. Like, I guess there's some kind of camp or whatever, and your Pokemon can like interact with each other. And it's like the Pokemon just pivots 180 degrees in place.
Yeah.
And then like a little thought bubble with like a music note pops up for both of them. And it's like, oh, it's so cute. And it's like, what? There's like hardly any animation there.
Okay, I will admit, during one of the climax scenes of the post game, literally in Sword and Shield, they had amazing animations for the cutscenes with the legendaries. The legendaries literally do that. They didn't even animate the legendary animation at the climax of the game. The Pokemon, you get up to the Pokemon, it does that 180. You literally see it. It's like from like 1999, and it just like slowly moves its paws and pivots 180 degrees.
That's what I mean when I talk about like standing with some of these great games on Nintendo Switch. Is like Mario Odyssey has great animations, you know?
Right. Like I will say, it does not have the polish, and that's why I said 8 out of 10. Right.
Okay.
As a Pokemon game, gameplay wise, it is the best Pokemon game I've ever played. Now, polish wise, maybe not, but let's be fair. None of the games had to accomplish what they did with the Switch. So like, it's hard to say, does Crystal have the same polish as Sword and Shield? Because gameplay wise, Sword and Shield kicks Crystal's butt. Like, I mean, all day.
I don't know that that's fair to say, because it's like, you know, Mario Odyssey had more to do than Mario Sunshine.
But Mario Sunshine also was just as good as Mario Odyssey.
I mean, I think Odyssey is way better. I think not only did they do more, but they did what you expect better.
But we're not talking about how good it is. We're talking about polish, right?
Yeah,
so
I mean,
like,
that's what I mean. Is like the polish is there. Like it's all the little things. It's like the animations are nice. Mm-hmm. You know, there's not a whole lot of jank. It's not like characters are just moving, you know, pivoting in place and stuff like that. It's those little things are like, you know, little minute details, but they add up to an experience that that I think makes a little bit of a difference.
I just think for Pokemon specifically, it's hard to give a fair comparison, because if you're looking at like Crystal, for instance, they pivot in place. Now it's 2D, so it's a different experience, and it's not as jarring, right? Like it's a jarring experience on the Switch. So I'm not trying to defend it. I think it was jarring even for me. And this is someone who's put a lot of time in. But I would just say gameplay wise, it was a 10. And the reason I gave it an 8 was for these little polish things that bothered me. You know? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Well, that's good. I think that's good to hear. I think obviously, like, I don't want a bad Pokemon game.
Yeah.
I don't want Sword and Shield to be bad. I just there are things as an outsider, as someone that hasn't played it yet, that I think could be better and should be better by now. But Pokemon is always going to be Pokemon. It's always going to be inherently fun to battle Pokemon and catch Pokemon. So
absolutely,
I'm genuinely glad that you've had a good time with it. I don't want to come off as like, dude, you suck for having a good time. Like, no, that's not what I think. But
no, but I totally understand where you're coming from. It's like there are definitely disappointing moments, and it's like, yeah, you want it to be perfectly polished, and when it's not, it's jarring and it doesn't feel good. But it's such a the minutia, the amount of time that I spent feeling that way was about 40 seconds compared to, 109 hours, 59 minutes, and 20 seconds of amazingness. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel you there. So are there any more lingering thoughts that you have about Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield?
Thoughts in general, probably not. I think I could talk about the game for another 110 hours. But in terms of impressions, overall, it's been pretty good. It's been pretty good.
Pretty
good.
Okay. Thank you for that. Thank you for bringing that to the podcast. I don't know if I'm going to play that game. Probably not. By the time that I'm like, because I have a backlog, I have games that I need to play, and it's like by the time that I would have time for that game, it's like, nah, that moment is past. I'm definitely not going to play it until at least Pokemon Home comes out, and I can pull over some of my boys.
Fair enough.
But okay, so that's our Pokemon impressions. So now we can move finally into the podcast proper.
Bum ba-dum, bum 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 ba-dum.
That's trademarked. Can't use that.
Bum bum ba-dum, bum bum ba-dum.
Nope, that's just in a different key.
Bum bum ba-dum, bum 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 bum.
Yeah, there you go. Got to make it legally distinct. Square Enix has big lawyers, so I don't want to fight with those lawyers. But okay. So our first story here is that Stadia released, I guess.
Okay.
Google Stadia, I guess, came out. There's a lot of reports that industry people didn't get their shit in time for Stadia.
Oh, for Stadia?
And, yeah, and
really?
stuff was down, and I think Stadia is kind of seems to be just dead DOA.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't. It's come out, and all I've heard, most of what I heard is people saying it didn't come in time, and these are people that work in the industry. People that work for gaming news sites and stuff. They're like, I didn't get it in time. There's been some downtime. It doesn't stream. The streaming is not. The streaming works, but sometimes it's not the best. I haven't heard anything overly positive about Stadia yet. So it's if it launched and it's not this is why you need to check out Stadia. I haven't seen those articles, so it's I don't know what Stadia has to offer now.
Have people given reviews on it yet, or how it plays?
I'm sure I haven't read any in-depth reviews and stuff.
Okay.
But just some various tweets and stuff like that. That's where I get most of the information that I don't heavily seek out is from Twitter.
Got it.
Which may not always be the best, but I people I follow, I trust.
You're doing what you can.
Their opinions and stuff. So I don't really have much to say else about Stadia. It's just I guess it launched. So the next like actual story that happened this week is Valve announced and then showed off Half-Life Alyx. So a new Half-Life game has been announced and shown off. So I don't know if you've seen this, but Half-Life Alyx is a VR game, and it's coming pretty soon. It's coming in March 2020, and it's mainly for the Valve Index VR headset, which is of course Valve's own VR headset. I think it's also coming to Oculus. It's coming to another VR headset, but it's mainly. I think it's gonna be $60, but it's gonna be free for anyone that owns Valve Index. So this is not a VR experience. They're pitching this is a game that is as long as Half-Life 2, and it's all VR. And honestly, the trailer looks pretty cool.
I mean, Valve has almost exclusively been doing research on VR and gameplay marketplaces for the past decade. So I'm not surprised that it looks amazing. I'm a little sad that it's going to be VR only. I understand because they want VR to happen because that's like their thing.
I think if anyone was going to make, like, there hasn't been a like big VR like game, here's a full game that you play. It's all like, little VR experiences.
Yeah.
And there's some stuff like Beat Saber that's like kind of like the Tetris of VR.
Right.
But there's not like a whole like here's a story experience, here's a whole game. That's
there are games out there. No, there are definitely games.
Yeah,
it's not like I don't know of a single AAA game. This is.
I think like Astrobot is probably the closest.
Yeah.
To it, so far, but it's interesting. I think Valve makes good games. They haven't made a big game like this in a while. I mean, they did like Dota 2, and their card game or whatever. But it's been since like really Portal 2 came out in 2011. By the way,
God,
that they've made like a really big game like this, and it's cool to see them. I mean, obviously it's wild to see Half-Life again. And to see like new assets for Half-Life and new character models and stuff like that, and I think it looks cool. Jeff Keighley has a whole thing where he talks to Valve about it. I think everyone should go if they're interested. Go watch Jeff Keighley's coverage of the game.
Sidebar real quick. Did you read the plot to Half-Life 3 when it was leaked?
I saw some tidbits. I guess I never actually played. I played a little bit of Half-Life 1.
Okay.
And I know like what happens in Half-Life 2. I'm aware of that story. I can't believe you
haven't played Half-Life 2.
I know.
Like, dude, seriously, it's not a long game. Oh, dude, that's shocking because it's like right up your alley because there's like so much of the like weirdness and messed up.
Yeah, I'm aware of like what Half-Life 2 is basically. Yeah. Like I know I've seen most of the game and I know where the story goes and stuff like that. But yeah, it's cool. I mean, this is Half-Life Alyx is a prequel to Half-Life 2, so we're not moving the story forward. Right. But I just think it's cool to see Half-Life again. It's kind of wild. Real.
Yeah, I mean, for a long time it seemed like they were kind of done.
Yeah, and like people talk about Valve couldn't do Half-Life 3 because the expectations at this point are so high, and I don't buy that argument. I think people that want Half-Life 3 just want a good video game. I mean, the Half-Life games are good, but they're not like the coming of Jesus. Nobody's expecting.
I mean,
they're great. They're great games, and they're iconic games, and they're still talked about today. Obviously,
right. I think they're like the coming of Jesus. Like honestly, if you look at the impact that they had when they were released, they were a pretty big deal in my opinion.
I guess my point is like I don't think Valve is afraid to make Half-Life 3 because
of
expectations or things,
or of like haters or whatever.
Yeah, I think that's a fake argument, and I think Valve. It's not like Valve started making stinky games; they just stopped making games.
Yeah.
Like Portal 2. Portal 2 is a fucking 10 out of 10 game.
Good. It's so good. Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's just like it's funny that they're doing this with Half-Life, because Half-Life
Uh-huh.
is kind of notorious for being just like somewhat revolutionary. I mean, I think the thing with Half-Life 2 it was the physics engine.
Yes, it was. It was. That was like mind blowing at the time.
Yeah,
It wasn't perfect. Like if you play it today, you're like, there are definitely better engines these days. But it was like very, 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 very crazy at the time.
yeah, but it's cool. I've also seen some people complain about like the floating hands and stuff like that. But Jeff Keighley has said like when you're in the experience, like I think it was like fucking PC Gamer that was like, this shit sucks. Like you gotta have arms for it to be immersive, and Jeff Keighley was basically like, this is a bad take. When you're playing the game, you don't even notice that you don't have arms. Obviously, in screenshots, it's a little weird to just see these two floating hands, but I'm sure when you're actually in the experience and living it's like you don't even think about it that much.
Now it's full VR. I don't know enough about VR. I'm assuming there is like controller support, so you still play VR with like a headset, but you can also play with a controller instead of like.
I'm not sure how Valve's VR headset works. I don't know if they have like the weird. I think they have like. I don't know if you're going to be able to play this game with like an Xbox controller or something.
I mean, they have to, right? Because like for accessibility, for people who are like paraplegic and stuff, there's got to be.
I think they just want to make the experience what the experience is. I've seen some people too say like, oh, it's VR. They're like shitting on all the Half-Life fans, and it's like, no, I think this is just the game that Valve wants to make, which is what they should do. I mean, I don't think creatively you should like limit yourself to like what you think. If you have a unique creative idea, even if it's like, people aren't going to be able to play this because not everyone has VR, but if you're into the idea and you're fully committed, like, go for it. Even if you're alienating people, I think creatively it's important to still go for stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely. I think so too. I also don't think Valve has ever been afraid to do that. Like, that's why you see such huge gaps in like their development time. They don't give they could easily release a game every 2 years and make billions of dollars, but do they? No, because I don't remember the last time I booted up a Valve game and was like, this game sucks.
Yeah. Probably never played their card game.
I don't even know what it's called. To be honest,
I think it's called Artifact, but
okay,
it's like the Dota card game, but.
Okay. In my mind, the only Valve games I know, to be honest, are like all the games on Orange Box and then their sequels.
Yeah. So I think it's cool. I mean, it's just cool to see like G-Man, like a modern day G-Man, like his model.
Ooh. Is he in the trailer?
Yeah, he is, and his model looks really, really nice. And
man.
Mike Shapiro is voicing him again.
Nice.
And like it's interesting. Like this is going to be the first Half-Life game where your protagonist is going to speak.
Wow.
So I think it's cool. I think they also said that like how they have like source, like open source, and they have like Gary's Mod and all that, where you can actually go in and tinker with the engines. So that they're building like new tools and stuff like that they're going to make available. And so like that's exciting too. That's kind of a thing that like not a lot of people are talking about, is like, here's this whole new tool set. People love fucking messing around with our engines and stuff, so we're going to release that and let people play with that. I think people are going to be very excited about just that even.
Now, is this going to be like a Source 3 engine instead of Source 2? What is this looking like? Like, what are they releasing?
I have no idea. I just know that like they're putting out a new kind of
new set
of
tools.
Stuff. Yeah, new stuff to play with.
Cool. Okay, awesome. I mean, I'm always for that. Like, that's really cool.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, this is a game that I might never play. But like, I think it's so cool that it exists, and I think it looks like a really cool game. And it's again, it's just wild to be like, it's wild. It's like there's a new Half-Life game coming out. Like, Half-Life is in the news because a new game is coming out for it, It's not just like it's just so wild. It's like this is like the gaming news fucking gold bomb. So yeah, that's exciting. Half-Life Alyx, and
It's
again,
gonna be
like
great.
coming soon. Coming March 2020. It's not like this is coming along.
March 2020.
Yeah, they've been working on this game. I think they said for about 3 years. So yeah, it's ready to go.
I always wonder, like, how do companies keep such massive projects like this unleaked?
Some of them don't. Ubisoft usually doesn't.
It's
But
just like how? How?
I think Valve is probably the best at this. I think Valve is always gonna like keep their shit under lock and key.
Mm-hmm.
Ubisoft is always gonna be the worst, where their stuff's just always like. I think the next Assassin's Creed game like almost always gets leaked like a year beforehand.
I wonder if like Valve just like doesn't even tell the developers what they're working on. They're like they abstract it out so much. They're like, today you're going to be coding the physics engine for moving fingertips.
It's possible. I mean, I think they said in an interview that like this game didn't start as a Half-Life game.
Wow.
So
that could actually be the case.
yeah.
That's
I mean,
crazy.
some of it's hard to see. Like when you see combine soldiers and head crabs and stuff, it's like, okay, I can figure out what this is. But Valve seems to be pretty good at like keeping their shit hidden.
Yeah.
Until they're ready to announce it. So
that's super cool. What is it called? Half-Life Alyx?
Half-Life Alyx. So yeah, you'll play as Alex. It's a prequel
Nice.
to Half-Life 2.
Definitely gonna check that out. That is super cool.
Yep. Okay. So the next thing on here is not really even a news story, but Jeff Keighley has his Game of the Year awards in December. I think it's coming on like December 10th, and they announced all the categories and all the nominees. So obviously the most coveted of these is the actual Game of the Year award. And so the nominees for this are Control, Death Stranding, Resident Evil 2 Remake, Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, which came out... Super Smash Bros. Ultimate came out like the morning after last year's Game Awards.
Probably for this reason, maybe? I don't know.
I don't know if it was for this reason, but it was a joke. Like Reggie was like, "Yeah, Smash Bros. Is..." Because Reggie was there at the Game Awards. Reggie
Oh, nice.
and he was like, "Yeah, Smash Bros. Is fucking launching tonight, but I'm here with you, Jeff. So fucking, you better be happy." And then the last game is The Outer Worlds. So those are the nominees.
I saw your tweet about Control.
Yeah, obvious snub here. We got a couple things. Obvious snub here to Devil May Cry 5, which is personally my game of the year. And obviously that's fine. I mean, these are all fucking subjective, and it doesn't... Everyone, like, every fucking website has their own game award, so it's like, whatever. But yeah, kind of sad to see DMC5 snubbed. And then also, like, I feel like Control is kind of like a formality pick. I think Control is a good game, and I love Remedy as a developer. But Control has some issues. Control was not as weird as I was hoping it would be. A lot of the lore is weird. Like a lot of the notes that you stuff that you read are really well written and really interesting and stuff. And there's some interesting concepts, but I feel like I'm always reading about weird things and not actually like doing weird things in the game, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
And obviously it's still kind of plagued by some technical issues. There's some pretty bad screen tearing. The frame rate is a little shaky in fights and stuff, and then also, I streamed this whole game. When you pause the game and unpause, when you go from unpausing, there's like 2 or 3 seconds where the frame rate goes to like 15.
I remember watching that when you were streaming it. That was very jarring, honestly.
It's consistent. It's every time you unpause the game, it does it.
Yeah, it was very bad. It was actually, like, I was getting frustrated just watching it.
Yeah. And obviously, don't pause often, but... And then the other thing is that there's a pretty major bug that's prevented me from getting the Platinum Trophy. I was planning on getting the Platinum Trophy on stream, and I got most of the trophies. But there's a side quest where basically you have to collect, like, a bunch of glowing items or whatever.
Yep.
And the glowing items spawn in the world. They're there, but there's no prompt for me to pick them up, and so I just can't complete that side quest because I can't pick up the item. And I just because they've put out some patches for the game, I just booted it up right before the podcast to check, and I still can't collect those. I still cannot collect those items, so that bug is still in the game. And technically, so I was reading online, and some other people ran into this. And technically, what you could do is that you could reload your save from before like the final mission.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do that, you could go and do all that side stuff then.
Yeah.
But that would mean me redoing all of the side content that I did after I beat the game. I'd have to redo all of that.
That was a pretty chunky amount too, wasn't it?
It was, because I did some side stuff while playing the main story, but I did most of the side stuff after I beat the main story.
Right.
And so it's like I don't want to do all that again.
No.
You know?
No.
So it's really unfortunate. It's like, and they have like expansions planned, and I think some of that is exciting. But it blows my mind that I still can't. There's still no prompt for me to collect that fucking item. It's like,
right.
The item is there. There's just no prompt, so I can't actually pick it up and have it. You know, it's insane. So I will never get the platinum in that game unless they fix it. But I will never get the platinum
Doubtful,
in that game.
Honestly.
So on this list, I think it should either go to Resident Evil 2 or Sekiro.
Uh-huh.
And I'm torn between which one. And I don't think it'll go to Smash Bros. I don't think it'll go to Outer Worlds, because these by the way are voted on. Jeff Keighley has like he gets like a bunch of people, industry people, from different websites and organizations, and they vote for which games are going to be nominees, and then they vote for the game. Jeff Keighley doesn't decide that himself, because there's a little bit of controversy where it's like, oh, Jeff Keighley's in Death Stranding. Like, does that make it wrong that Death Stranding could win game of the? But like, he didn't put the game there. He's not voting for the game, so he's just hosting the event. So there's no like deep state conspiracy there. And even if it is, who gives a shit? Like, it's just his Game Awards. It doesn't mean that it has to be your Game of the Year. It's like, doesn't really matter. But I obviously haven't finished. I haven't played the Outer Worlds, but I finished every other game on this list except for Death Stranding. And obviously, I really love Death Stranding, but I haven't finished it yet. So I think either Resident Evil 2 or Sekiro should take it. And it's hard to say between those two. It really is. I would be surprised if Resident Evil 2 takes it, because like, I don't know, it's weird because it's, these are voted on by gaming organizations, and it's like Resident Evil 2 is a horror game. Sekiro is a really hard action game. Death Stranding is a weird, really weird like game in general. So it's like there's really almost on this list not even like a mass appeal game. Obviously, I think they're all good games, but it's not like last year where it was like God of War or Red Dead 2, where it's like, okay, these are like big, mass appeal games. These are all kind of little niches. Smash Bros. is a fighting game, technically, sort of.
Smash Bros. Is a fighting game. Let's not.
I think it's more of a party. I think it's more of a party game than a fighting game, but that's a whole other discussion.
There's like a whole competitive thing. It's a fighting game. Just because you can play it at parties doesn't mean it's not a fighting game. Now, I'm not gonna like die on my sword for this argument, but like,
will you die on your shield?
No.
Okay.
No, I had to think about that one, but I don't think I would die on my sword or my shield. But I would have to disagree and say it's a fighting game.
Okay. I mean, it's at Evo, so I guess it's a fighting game.
Exactly. Bam. Point proven.
So yeah, I think no one's really excited for the Game Awards to see which game wins. I think people are more excited because the Game Awards have turned into just E3 in December.
Yeah.
People are excited for the trailers and stuff. But like, I will say that like, I think Jeff Keighley puts on a good show. I think it's you know, he did the Game Awards for Spike TV, the VG, you know, the VG Awards, and then he kind of stopped doing that and started doing his own thing. And the first one that he did was kind of awkward. The first one was with that guy from Community, who's I forget his name, but he's a really funny actor. But it was like Jeff and him obviously like weren't on the same page, so it was like kind of awkward in spots and stuff. But I think the past couple years, Jeff Keighley has really tightened up this event, and I think it's a really good event. I think it's paced really well, even though it's like 2 hours. It like doesn't feel like that. So props to him. I think Jeff Keighley is a pretty stand-up guy. So, and he puts on a good event. Now, if he wants to come on this podcast, I'd love to have him.
You're always welcome.
Yeah, you're always welcome, Jeff. But you have to. I refuse to Discord with you. You have to physically come to my apartment. That's the trade-off. But I think you'd like it here, Jeff. I think you would like it here in Atlanta. I don't really like it here, but I think you really would. I think you would like my apartment. There's some good decor here.
Oh God.
So anytime you want to come down, I'll cook for you. I'll make you spaghetti. It'll be great.
Delicious.
Yep, delicious. And so our last story here, again, it's the time of the year where it's not very news heavy, you know. There'll be a bunch of news after the Game Awards, a bunch of new announcements and stuff. But the last thing here is not really surprising, but there are now reports. I think this report comes from the guy who leaked Elden Ring.
Okay.
From Software. So they're saying that RE3 remake is in the works, which wow, shocker.
Big shocker. Huge shocker.
Big shocker, but I think, you know, everyone expected it, and I think Capcom knows that, and I think, dude, RE3 remake will probably be pretty cool.
I hope so. Do you think it's actually going to be good?
Yeah, I mean, RE2 remake was fantastic, and it's like RE2 remake is good because it doesn't replace Resident Evil 2. It does, it hits the beats that you want it to, but it still does its own thing, and so they feel like you get the moods and stuff that you're supposed to get, but it does feel like its own thing. So it's like I can still go back and play Resident Evil 2 on the I play it on PS3 now, but
it'll itch a different scratch.
Yeah, it itches a different scratch, and so I think they'll probably do that again. I have, Cap God is officially back, and they're just putting out like hitter after hitter after hitter. So it's an exciting time to be a Capcom fan, I think, for some of the franchises that they're working with. And dude, fucking Nemesis is gonna be nuts. It's like, if you thought Mr. X slow walking towards you was terrifying, imagine Mr. X with a rocket launcher like sprinting at you as fast as he fucking can, because that's Nemesis. And it's gonna be wild. Kind of hope that they I think they did a really good job, like, they kind of redesigned Claire a little bit, like her outfit and stuff in RE2 remake. Obviously she still has the red jacket and it still looks like Claire, but I think I think Jill could use a little bit of redesign. Her outfit's a little nuts in RE3. She's got like the skirt and like tank top, and then she's got like a sweater wrapped around. It's like I know you don't want to just do RE1 Jill with the fucking beret, but like I think she could be. I think they'll do a good job. I think they did a good job with Claire, and they still put the OG version of the costume in, plus the fucking like PS1 model. If you
I saw that. Yeah, you mentioned that.
If you really want.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it's exciting. I think it's expected, but, I think it's cool.
Awesome.
So that's it for all the news. That's it. That's all she wrote.
So please tell me that I won. Please tell me.
We'll get there. We're not there yet. We're not there yet.
God.
We'll get there. Don't worry about it. We'll get there.
Michael.
So I want you to show yourself right now. I want you to tell people where they can find you.
Okay.
What you're going to be playing in the upcoming week or so. I know Thanksgiving's coming up, so I don't know if you're taking time off for that or anything, but
sure. So I'll be playing SAT prep on the next time I'm on SuperHypeGaming, and I'll probably be denied more points. So I'll never be able to purchase anything from the Michael Flanagan podcast store. Very disappointed. I'm kind of upset at you, Michael. I just want my points.
We haven't even gotten there yet.
I'm taking over this part of the podcast. No, you can catch me at same place I say every other week. twitchtv.bluechromed, BLUECHROMED. At me at Twitter. I've been playing a lot of Pokemon lately, and that will probably continue. Like we said on the podcast, I put 110 hours in to Pokemon Shield in 10 days. That is absurd. I don't play games like that. So I'm like totally obsessed. I've been loving it. I'm honestly probably going to play more after we're done.
Yeah, you've been like shiny hunting on stream and stuff like that?
Shiny hunting, doing raids with people, making curry, all kinds of stuff. It's been really fun. So I'll be playing a lot of Pokemon Shield. I might even do some shiny hunting on Let's Go, but that's really all I have on my plate until December. I plan to do Dark Souls at some point. I don't know when or if that'll definitely happen, but that Pokemon's really all I have on my plate until Crystal Chronicles comes out on January 23rd.
Oh, Jesus. I forgot about that.
I know. I'm like, I really hope you pick it up, man. I really want to play that with you.
I probably will. Yeah.
Okay, good. It's not a full price game. It's only $40.
That helps.
So, yeah. So we'll see. That's kind of what's on my plate. Mostly Pokemon, honestly, until I'm ready to play another game, which may not be ever.
Ever? That's a long time.
Are you gonna
play Pokemon Sword and Shield until the heat death of the universe?
Absolutely. At this rate, the answer is yes. Because there's so much I haven't done yet, right? Like, shiny.
Do you think Pokemon in a multiverse? Like, do you think there's another universe where Pokemon Sword and Shield have all the Pokemon in
it? Probably. Yeah.
How many other universes do you think there are?
I mean, if you want to get into this, I think
like 10. There's probably 10, right?
Well, so people talk about like multiverse as if it's a parallel universe. I don't know if I really buy that. That's a little like, I don't know if I want to say silly, but I don't know if it necessarily like, I don't know. I need to understand physics more to understand parallel universes. I think there are other universes. I just don't think they're parallel. I think.
Oh yeah. I think our. Go ahead.
I think our understanding of the universe is like the space that we can comprehend in terms of like what we can measure. But I think that the vast nothingness is completely endless, and that our universe is just one of infinite other universes taking up the same giant space of nothing. So like what we consider a universe is really just what we can see out until the point of no longer seeing anything. But really there's just endless versions of this, other Big Bangs, maybe even different types of Big Bangs out there somewhere that it's so far away we can't even begin to comprehend what it's like.
Yeah, my thought is just like other universes probably have just some fucked up physics and like shit that like we couldn't even fucking understand. Like you can walk through objects or it's just like
right, weird. like we're not even 3D. Like we're like 89D in some universes. You know.
Oh man. Four-dimensional beings.
Yeah. Oh God. But like actually.
That's what I'm saying, man. Like there's shit that there's some meta shit that exists that we just don't know about it, but it is out there.
It's just like our puny minds cannot comprehend it. We can't grasp it.
Yeah, I mean we're still sending like radio waves out into space. You know,
like and how embarrassing is that?
Like sending radio waves out is like picking up a gramophone and trying to make a phone call, you know?
I know. It's sad.
And like it's like the length of time that humanity will exist for is like not even equal to like half a second for the length of the universe, you know?
Right. Well, like, so you did mention 1 trillion years for the sun. It's actually about 5 billion. So we don't even have that much time left in our own solar system. You know,
But
like,
that's still a long ass time, you know? Like,
well, the thing is, that's for the sun to die, though, right? Like,
Yeah.
a heat death for the Earth is like much sooner than that. You know?
Yeah. I remember that was part of the video. Is like everything will be scorched, and then sometime after that, like the Earth will die. But it's crazy to think, like, this put me in a deep dive of like reading weird shit, and it's like the Tyrannosaurus Rex is like closer to humanity than it is to like the Stegosaurus, you know? Because like there's a whole different like eras and stuff of the dinosaurs, and it's like the T-Rex, the time that the T-Rex was around is closer to the era of humans than it was to the era of the Stegosaurus. That's how that's the time scales that we're dealing with. And there's shit like that all over. It's like the time of the Romans. Like, we are closer to the Romans than the Romans were to like the creation of the pyramids. Like, the Romans were like, what the fuck are these pyramids? Who the fuck built these?
Yeah,
these things are ancient history to the Romans.
I know,
It's
like literally, it's crazy.
Oh man.
Oh jeez. So yeah, that's my plug.
Yeah. So I will be doing some stuff. I'd like to remind everybody that if you have questions that you want to send into the podcast, if you have like games that you want me to play on the podcast, or just, you know, discussion stuff, you can email me at superhypegaming@gmail.com, and send all your hate mail there too. I really want to get some hate mail. That's what I'm really itching for. Is I want you to like send in corrections. I want you to tell me that you fucking hate me. Please. I really do. I'm not kidding. It's not a bit. I want that.
That's how you know you're successful.
Yeah. But also I like to feel bad about myself. It makes me happy. It's kind of a weird thing to understand, but it's like it makes me happy to feel bad about myself. It's like the BoJack Horseman complex.
Well, it's like,
I
yeah,
guess.
exactly. Well, because you've got the BoJack Horseman ego, so it's kind of like you like to feel knocked down to kind of balance out that big head, that huge head of yours, that barely fits on your tiny little chicken body, Michael.
That huge hot head. God, it's so hot.
That huge head.
One of the agents asked me, he's like, "Where did you get that jawline from?"
Really? That's amazing.
Yeah. I was like, hell yeah, I got a good jawline.
Nice. I love that. That's so great.
So you can also find me on Twitter. I say it every time, but my Twitter is the best content that I put out. That Twitter is at SuperHypeGaming. Surprise. I'm on Twitch at SuperHypeGaming. I will be playing. So I stream on Fridays and Saturdays. I'm not sure. I'm either going to stream this week on Friday or Saturday. I'm not going to do both this week. But I'm either going to stream Sekiro or I'm going to do another Drunk Souls stream.
Nice.
Haven't decided yet. I want to do another drunk stream. It was really fun the first time.
Those sound really fun. Oh yeah, we didn't talk about it, but are you going to your parents for Thanksgiving?
Yeah. Well, I'll
Cool.
do like we've got some family here, and
Okay.
and I'll do that. I won't stay long, but it'll be kind of a dinner thing, dinner and run. Is
Okay,
usually
got
how it is for me, but
I feel that. Okay, fair enough.
yeah, that's that. Not going out of town or anything. I don't do that.
Right. Yeah.
Which is it's nice. One of my favorite Demetri Martin jokes is he's like, I love Halloween. Halloween's the best holiday because nobody says like, hey, what are you doing for Halloween? It's like, oh, dude, I gotta fucking fly back to New Jersey and see my parents.
It's honestly so true.
He's like, and they're divorced, so I gotta bring 2 costumes. It's a whole mess.
That's really good.
So yeah, that's it for me. Now we're gonna start the wrap up here. So
Okay.
how do you think you did on your SAT prep?
I don't freaking know, Michael. Just tell me. God, I hate you.
So you used the word, but you didn't use it to reiterate something that you said. You asked me to reiterate, and I don't like that. So
I hate you.
You will unfortunately fail SAT.
You
prep
lied to me. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, before the podcast, Michael lured me in. He's like, "Oh, don't worry. I'm setting you up to succeed. You can totally win this today."
You could. Again, if you stick to the rules of SAT prep, you can win SAT prep. It's just that you didn't use the word the way that I wanted you to use it. You used it to ask me to reiterate something. You didn't say, I want to reiterate. You didn't use it to reiterate something yourself.
Please, Michael.
Luke, I mean, if you play by the rules...
Why do you do this to me?
If you play by the rules, you'll win SAT prep. It's really that simple.
I just want to win points, okay? I want to buy swag from the SuperHypeGaming store, okay?
Is that what you think the points are for?
What is it for?
I mean, the points are points.
What? What do you mean? What are the points for?
What do you mean? What are they for? They're points. You don't want points?
Do I get to spend them?
No, they're points. You don't.
Okay. Points? Well, in that case, whatever. Yeah. Nah, I'm a winner.
Whatever. They're points. You want points, right? Everyone wants points.
Everyone wants points.
You get points.
Okay. You're right. Everyone wants points. Fair
so
enough.
next time when you're on, just play by the rules, and you'll win SAT.
Yeah,
practice.
play
it's
by the
really
rules.
That simple.
Michael, go jump in a trash can. Go live with your brethren. Get out of here.
Okay. So unfortunately, since you did lose,
okay.
we're gonna close the podcast today with you reading a silly video game line. Again, I get all these lines from randomvgquotes.com. They're all completely random. So I will send this to you in show chat. So thank you, Luke. Thank you for joining me again. Thank you for giving me your Pokemon impressions. You're always a great guest. Thanks you to everyone that listened. And here is your line.
By the way, quick sidebar. I looked at the link you sent me with the Australian Pokemon. That is really cool.
It looks really cool, doesn't it?
Super awesome. Yeah.
Pokemon yeah and Pokemon nah.
Ah, it's so good. Yeah.
And
nah.
like I think there was a screen or there's a art piece too, because this is all like a fan project thing.
Yeah.
But it was like Steve Irwin as a trainer.
Yeah, they have it there. It's so cool.
Yeah.
This is really sick. All right. Anyway,
please read your line.
I just have to say, dude, my father wasn't so hideous. Can't you tell by looking at me?